I absolutely love hummingbirds. These little speed demons are beautiful, full of personality, and of course, a little bit chaotic. But capturing great images of these little Spitfires, that's a challenge. One big reason that I jumped headfirst into the Micro Four Thirds ecosystem was the gear. It's small, lightweight, rugged, affordable. Did I mention lightweight? I mean, seriously, my arms and back thank me every day. So come with me on this brief birding lens adventure. If you're looking to start capturing images of hummingbirds, or you already are and questioning your lens choice, let's talk about my favorite Micro Four Thirds lenses for photographing these tiny feathered rockets. I will provide a few quick tips within this video, but I'm working on a longer one to cover more in-depth techniques for hummingbirds and birds in general. And yes, I know there are some excellent Panasonic lenses that can do the job, but I haven't used that gear. So let's talk about the OM lenses I do use and recommend. Now, this video is not sponsored. I am not affiliated with OMSYSTEM in any way other than being a satisfied customer. The equipment links in the description are not affiliate links. This gear I use and recommend and have purchased myself.
Oh, what a nice guy.
Now, I'm not going to bury the lead. If I had only one lens to choose, it would be the OMSYSTEM 40-150 f2.8 Pro. This bad boy is arguably one of the sharpest lenses in the Olympus OM arsenal. With a full frame equivalent of 80 to 300 millimeter and a constant 2.8 aperture throughout the entire range, this thing is a powerhouse. Nature, check. Wildlife, check. Landscapes, portraits, action shots, check, check, check. And it even gets crazy close to subjects for that almost macro look. Almost. I know you might be yelling at your screen right now about a certain white whale lens, but we'll get to that soon enough. The 40-150 f2.8 Pro focuses close as 27.6 inches, has ultra-sharp glass, fast autofocus, IP53 weather sealing, an on-lens function button, and wait for it, it weighs less than 2 pounds. This little guy is a dream. It has a collapsible hood, static length, so no surprise barrel movements, and one of my favorite features, the manual focus clutch. This is for instant manual focusing. And yes, it works with the MC14 and MC20 teleconverters. Now, I personally use the MC20 most of the time, giving me a full frame equivalent of 160 to 600 millimeters at f5.6, and I don't see any noticeable hit in image quality. Yeah, I know, that's not a hummingbird, but it gives you the idea of what this lens is capable of doing with the 2x teleconverter. Here's the money shot. This image won the NANPA, North American Nature Photography Association 2024 Competition Showcase in the birds category and was taken with the 50-150 millimeter f2.8 Pro. Now, I personally like the next frame even better, so much so it's the banner image for this channel. And by the way, these were taken in my backyard, so award-winning images can be only steps away, but we'll cover that in another video. This is a near perfect lens, but it does have a couple of missed opportunities. The collar foot is not Arca Swiss compatible, so I have to attach a small plate if I want to easily connect it to a monopod or tripod. And there is no in-lens stabilization. But if you have a camera with killer IBIS, in-body image stabilization, like the OM1, the OM1 Mark II, or the OM3, it's pretty much a non-issue. This is just nitpicking, as the lens is just phenomenal. Now let's talk about my other go-to lens, the OMSYSTEM 100-400 f5 6.3 IS. I have the original version, but as of this recording, OM is rolling out the new Mark II version in the US. Fingers crossed it arrives soon. Christmas might just come twice this year.
Santa's coming to town!
With a full frame equivalent of 200 to 800 millimeter, this lens packs some serious reach for the price. Sure, it's not the fastest lens on the planet, but with a decent light and steady hand, you can get some crazy sharp shots. Now, is it as sharp as the legendary white whale, the 150-400 f4.5 IS Pro with built-in 1.2 times teleconverter? Of course not, don't be silly. That is not only the best lens in the OM lineup, it is arguably one of the best lenses on the market. But unless you have a spare kidney to sell, for that price tag, the 100 to 400 is an awesome alternative. If you do happen to own the 150 to 400 f4.5, just know I envy you, and I kind of hate you a little. At 2.5 pounds, this lens is light for its focal range and even has in-lens stabilization, but, and it's a big but, the stabilization doesn't sync with the camera IBIS yet. The Mark II version will support Sync IS with compatible cameras, but it's not all rainbows and unicorns. If the conditions aren't right, it can produce softish results. It also does extend when zooming, but not all that smoothly. I do hope this is improved in the new version, but it does have nice balance with the camera and fully extended, and that's like nothing.
That's what she said.
It is compatible with teleconverters, but personally, I don't use them that much with this lens. The MC14, maybe. It's okay. But the MC20, nah, that pushes you to a whopping 1600 millimeters at f13. Focusing at 1600 millimeters is like trying to focus on one plane in flight while standing outside the wing of another plane in flight. But hey, if you've had success with that combo, let me know in the comments because I need to hear your story. Now these are the two lenses I use most because, well, they're what I own. However, there is also the OMSYSTEM 150 to 600 f5 to 6.3 IS lens, which provides a mind-boggling full frame equivalent of 1200 millimeters. It does feature 5-axis Sync IS up to 7 steps, and it is a bigger and heavier lens than most OM glass, but it has a short 22-inch focus distance for more of those almost macro results. IPX1 weather sealing, autofocus, manual focus switch, and it supports both teleconverters, so you can get up to 2400 millimeters at f13. Insane. But I wouldn't recommend that for Hummingbirds. The normal range is just fine, and as seen here in this image taken of a puffy little broad-billed hummingbird using a monopod at 1200 millimeters f7.1, I don't think you can argue with the quality and capability of this lens. I've used this lens briefly, and here are some of my results. All right, let's get nerdy for a second. Camera settings. If you want to freeze a Hummingbird mid-flight, you'll need the minimum shutter speed of 1/2500th of a second. If you want those wings tack-sharp, or as close as possible, crank it up to 1/4000th or 5000th of a second if light allows. When they're hovering around the feeder, I rely on my camera's silent electronic shutter at 20 frames per second and go full spray and pray. Since the OM1, OM1 Mark II, and OM3 don't black out during high-speed shooting, you'll get really good at tracking while doing this. Different hummingbird species hover for different amounts of time, so knowing their behavior is key. If I'm feeling especially twitchy, I'll switch to SH2 for 50 frames per second, and for those unpredictable takeoffs, Pro Capture Mode is my secret weapon. It lets me snag the exact moment they launch. Standard Pro Capture hits 20 frames per second, but with SH2 you get 50 frames per second, and with the SH1 setting it goes all the way to 120 frames per second. But think of all the years you'll lose going through all those frames. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the OMSYSTEM 300mm f4.0 IS Pro with all of the features of a Pro lens, including 5-axis Sync IS with the camera body, built-in hood, manual focus clutch, IP53 weather sealed, and works with both teleconverters. It gives you a full frame equivalent of 600mm. Now, I have not personally used this lens, but mention it around other OM photographers and they'll swoon. This lens isn't on my radar for Hummingbirds as I prefer telezooms over fixed focal length. I like the ability to adjust focal length as needed when following and tracking these little chaos agents. But I know there are folks who swear by this glass for any kind of bird. Now let's talk price. For what you get, these lenses are solid deals. The 40 to 150 f2.8 Pro goes for around $1,200 new US, and the original 100 to 400 millimeter for just under $1,000 now that the Mark II is coming out. The upgraded lens will be about $1,500. If you're hunting for used options, MPB, KEH, and eBay usually have them for around $900 to $850 respectively, in excellent condition, and with some even dipping below that depending on the condition you're willing to accept. The 150 to 600 millimeter is about $2,000 new, and the 300 millimeter f4 is up there at $2,700. And I won't even mention the price of the 150 to 400 millimeter f4.5. You'll want to be sitting down when you look that one up. As mentioned, I hope to have longer, in-depth videos covering more techniques for hummingbirds, birds in general, and OM camera high-speed capture modes soon, so stay tuned for those. But for now, here's some quick advice. Depending on where you live, you can attract hummingbirds by planting hummingbird mint, trumpets, autumn sage, and tuberosa, to name a few. Using feeders is the quickest way, and I like the simple flat round ones for easy filling and cleaning. Nothing is sticking out to block the bird in the image. Make your own nectar. Never buy that red crap. I'll put a homemade recipe in the description. Be sure to isolate your subject. I'm not a photojournalist, I'm an artist, so I promote removing the feeder from your image in post if you can. Using the remove tool in Photoshop or generative fill to delete unwanted objects is okay in my book. Keep a clean frame and inspect those edges. My goal is to produce the best image I can get. Use a wide aperture to separate the bird from the background and get that sweet, creamy bouquet. Making sure the bird is far away from the background will also assist in achieving that look. Position yourself for a clean and colorful background. Search for the right spot. These birds will usually give you plenty of opportunities. Bonus points if you can get some backlighting and make those wings glow. Finally, patience, patience, patience. Practice, practice, practice. Just keep at it. I hope this video gave you some tools and tips to prepare for and hopefully improve your hummingbird photography. I'll have more on this subject in the near future. Please like and subscribe for more photography tips, gear reviews, and Micro Four Thirds goodness. If you're interested, I have many more wildlife, nature, outdoor, and travel images with 2 Instagram accounts listed in the description. Now get out there and create something. Earth is art. Be the artist. Take care.